Hello everyone, this is Ankit Jain. I welcome you all to my channel Tech Journey with Ankit. This is part 4 of our Change Data Capture series. In the previous parts, we discussed in detail what is Change Data Capture, how you can use the standard channel provided by the Salesforce in the Change Data Capture. Also, we discussed how you can create your own custom channels as well. In the last part, we also discussed how you can subscribe to the Change Data Capture by using the triggers and also write down the test classes as well. In today's session, we will discuss how you can subscribe to the change data capture by using the Lightning Web component. Let's go over the agenda for today. First, we will quickly recap what we have learned in the previous session. After that, we will see how we can use the EMP API and subscribe to the change event notification in the Lightning Web component. And in the end, we will also go over the demo as well. A quick recap from the previous session, Change Data Capture is a streaming product which is available on the Lightning platform that enables you to efficiently integrate your Salesforce data with the external system. Whenever any DML operation has been performed in the system and you want to send the notification, in such scenarios, Change Data Capture will be very helpful. In with respect to trigger, we discussed that if you are subscribing to the change data event by using the trigger, you have to use the after insert event. Also, we discussed that whatever the records that you are processing in your triggers, by default, the owner will be the automated process. And in the last, we also discussed in one batch, you can have the maximum 2000 event messages. One more thing that we discussed about the naming convention of the change events. Key thing here is if you are looking for all the selected objects, then you have to subscribe to the channel slash data slash change event. Again, out of the box, Salesforce do provide this channel. Same thing for the standard objects as well as the custom object as well. If you are subscribing to the standard object, you have to use the slash data slash followed by the standard object name and prefix with the change event. For the custom object, additional thing here is underscore underscore. So for example, if you are subscribing to the employee object, then you have to subscribe to the channel slash data slash employee underscore underscore change event. This underscore underscore is the additional with respect to the standard change, with respect to the change event channel for the standard object. Now let's move towards the topic for today, how you can subscribe to the LWC component, how you can subscribe to the change data capture using the LWC component. For that, Salesforce do provide the EMP API module. By using this EMP API module, you can subscribe to a streaming channel. Not only to the change data capture, by using the same approach, you can also subscribe to the platform events as well. There are certain steps that you should follow whenever you are using the EMP API. One key thing, folks, about the EMP API is it is only and only supported for the desktop browser. It is not supported for the Salesforce mobile app. So whenever you are delivering the solution for the business, make sure that this solution is only applicable for the desktop browser but not for the mobile app. So how to use the CDC? For that, you have to go and first import the different methods from the EMP API module. This EMP API module, it does have the different methods: subscribe, unsubscribe, on error, set debug flag, as well as the is enabled flag. You will get the more details about these methods in the component library. If I take you to the component library, and here you can look for the EMP API module. So here, if you go and search for the EMP API, Salesforce have given few examples how you can use the EMP API module as well. Here you can see we do have the EMP API module that we are importing in our component, and there are few steps that you have to follow. For example, you have to use the connected callback. You have to call the handle subscribe method to subscribe to the channel, and also you can unsubscribe to the channel by using the unsubscribe method as well. Definitely in the demo, we will try to implement one scenario where we'll understand all these methods in detail. Now, moving towards the next part, let's move towards the demo and try to understand how the change data event works. Let me give you a scenario that I have actually worked for one of the business requirement. The business was asking that they are getting the data from the multiple sources from the object. Let's take a scenario that the business is getting the data from the account object from the third party system, and as soon as the data is updated in the third party system at runtime, they want to notify the users that the record is updated and they have to perform the refresh on their page. Right? As a user, for example, if anyone is directly updating the data from the backend, then I have to notify the user that the data that they are viewing is a stale data. They should go and refresh the page. How we can do that? For example, let's say in my scenario, the external system is the Postman. If anyone is updating the data from the Postman, then I have to give the notification to the user. So for example, here, let me go and update the account data. For that, I'm navigating to the patch request under the S object. First, let me go and put the parameter detail here as the account record ID. Let me take this record for an example. And what I want to update in the body, I am putting that field. Let's say I want to update the rating here as hot, right? As soon as the record is updated into the system, you can see that I am sending the notification. What the business is asking is a banner, something like this should come up, which will tell them the data that they are viewing is an outdated data, right? The banner should come up which will tell them the data that they are viewing is an outdated data, and here they want one refresh icon should come up. When they go and click on this refresh icon, you can see that the updated data is coming up on the UI. You can see that this updated data is coming up on the UI. So how we can implement this kind of a functionality, right? Let's try to build this by using the change data capture event. So for that, again, I will take you to the editor where we will go and implement the Lightning Web component. So let's go and create one Lightning Web component. And here I am creating the Lightning Web component as display refresh message. Right? Now, first, let's get started with the HTML part before we actually go and write down the logic in the JavaScript. So to design my HTML, I am again taking the help of the SLDS. Here I am putting the SLDS warning, and let me open this alert message window from here. So again, Salesforce have provided few sample classes that you can use. For the demo purpose, I want to use this SLDS class. So again, I am copying the code from here and putting it here. Now let's go and try to modify this according to our requirement. So here I want to give the warning message. I don't want to use this SVG icon. So let me take this out, and here I am putting the lightning icon. So let me put here lightning icon. I am giving the icon name here as utility warning and putting the title name as warning. Right? In case you are not familiar with the syntax, definitely you can refer it from the component library. You just have to go here and search for the lightning icon. Here you will get the n number of examples for the lightning icon. I am just using the icon here with the name as warning icon. Right? Again, how to get the icon list? Those who are not familiar, for that you have to search for the SLDS icons. We have covered this in detail in our LWC bootcamp, how you can get the different icons from the Salesforce. Here I am just using the this warning icon. Right? Now, the next thing that I have to do here is I have to also take out this button, this refresh page button. Right? So to do that, again, let me go and remove the button section from here. And I want to replace this button with the button icon. And for that, I am using the lightning button icon. Again, lightning button icon is another out of the box component that Salesforce have provided that also you can search from here. Right here you can see we do have this lightning button icon where again you can populate the different properties. So let me go and take the reference from here. You can see we have to populate few properties like the icon name or the class or the title and all those things. So here I go and do it one after the other. The first property that I am populating here is the icon name. I want to put the refresh icon here. So let me put the utility refresh. Next thing, I want to give the variant here as the bear, and title also, let me give the refresh title. And in the last, whenever the user clicked on this, I want to execute the method. So for that, I am using the onClick method. That is the uh, refresh page. That is the refresh page. If you want, you can also go and remove this. So my HTML component looks good, right? But I want this section should be visible only and only when I do have some message to display, right? As of now, here you can see I do have some hard coded message, uh, which is not logical to me. Let me change this bit logical as per my requirement. Here I want to put the message as your data is outdated. Please refresh the data. Your data is outdated. Please go and refresh the data. So here I am putting that message. HTML looks good. As I said, I want this content to be visible only and only when I do have some data to message to display. And for that, I am using here the if condition. So here I go and put template LWC if, and here I am putting the property as is display message. So whenever this property value is true, then and then only I want this message should be displayed. On the initial load, I don't want to display that message. So I'm navigating to my JavaScript file and defining this property value as false. As I said, I want to do this with the help of EMP API. So let's navigate and import the methods that we do have on the EMP API. So first method that we have to import whenever we are using the EMP API is the methods that we required for the EMP API import operation. So from the component library, I am importing EMP API module. Now the next thing that I want to define here is the channel name. For which channel you want to create this. So let me go here and put the channel name. If you want, you can also make this more generic by implementing for all the channel. So what you can do here is you can just go here with the name of API property, that is the channel name. And here by default, you can go and define any channel. We discussed in detail the naming convention of the channel. So let me take you back one more time. So whenever you are subscribing to any channel, you have to use the slash data slash followed by the channel name. Here I want to subscribe to the account channel. So here I am using the slash data slash account change event. If you want to do this for the contact, then the contact change event. If you want to do this for the custom object, then any custom object name underscore underscore followed by the change event. So this is how you can do it. As we are using the API decorator, we have to go and import the API decorator here. Now the next thing that we have to do here is, again, this is not required for our scenario. We need this subscription object. So I'm referring this subscription object and putting it here. I will show you the usage of this subscription object as well. Now, the next thing that I have to do here is, as soon as my component is inserted, I want to subscribe to this channel. And how we can do that? By using the connected callback method. So here I go and put the connected callback method. Now in the connected callback method, what I have to do, I have to subscribe to the channel, and to subscribe to this channel, we do have this method, that is the handle subscribe. So again, I am also copying this method as well. And here I go and, sorry, I have not copied correctly. Let me go here and put it here. Right, so this is the method that I have to invoke as soon as the component is subscribed. So, or to subscribe the component, so here I go and invoke this method, that is the handle subscribe method. Now in this method, what we are doing, we are making the callback and we are having the response. Here, rather than I go and use this function response, I should prefer to go with the arrow function. So what I am doing here is I'm just creating a clone of it and replacing it with the response. Right, I have just converted this into the arrow function and taking this out. I have just converted this into the arrow function and I have taken that out. After that, here I am subscribing to the channel name. the channel name that we have already defined here, followed by the message callback, followed by the dot then, and followed by the response. So whatever the response that we are getting, that response will come up here. So here you can see the subscription property that we have defined, we are storing that response here. Again, we don't have to toggle anything in our example, so we can take out this method as well. Right, moving towards the further thing, here we have to also go and unsubscribe to the component as well, and for that I am making another call to the handle unsubscribe. But when this method should be unsubscribed, when the component is removed from the DOM, and for that I am using another lifecycle method, that is the disconnected callback, and here I am invoking that method, that is the handle subscribe method, handle unsubscribe method. So here I go and put this dot handle unsubscribe. You can see here very minimum code we have to write, right? Maximum thing I am just referring it from the documentation and putting is as is. Now here again I don't have any subscription functionality in my toggle functionality in my component, so I am taking this out. Now what all different parameters that I have to pass? Subscription, I already defined that. Response, which is nothing but the callback method, and here they are just printing the message. Now the last thing is the error listener that we are already invoking from the connected callback method. You can see that we do have this method to invoke. So let me go and invoke this. Let me go and call this method, right? So my basic structure is ready for the subscription to the message channel. As of now, I have not written any business logic. I have just subscribed it. I have unsubscribed it here, and I have done the error handling here. Now, what we want here is as soon as I am getting any message, I want to give the notifications to the user so that they can go and refresh the page, right? As soon as we are getting some successful response, right? When we will get this response, whenever the DML operation has been done, then we will get this response. So based on the response that we are getting, I want to notify the user to perform the refresh, and for that I am creating another method here, or I am invoking another method here, that is the handle response. So let me put here the method name as handle change event response. So, and in this response, if you want, you can also pass this response parameter that we do have here. So, right, what I am doing here is in this method, I am just passing this response as well. Now, this response, we are passing it here. Now, let me go and define this method here. That is the handle response. And here we do have this response. If you want, you can also go and log this. Let's go and log this. And after that, we will go and implement our additional logic. Right, after that only we will go and implement our additional logic. First, to get this component exposed to the record page, I am putting the isExpose parameter as true and defining the targets here with the target as record page. Let me go on. Another thing that we have to do here is, as we are making this component generic, right? I have already exposed one API property. So let me also go and define the target configs as well. And here I am putting the target config for the lightning record page. And now the next thing that we will be doing here is I am putting one property here, and in the property we have to give the exact same name that we have defined here. So channel name is the name that I have given, so I am putting the channel name, and type I am putting here as the string type. If you want, you can also put the label here as well. Let me put the label here as, sorry, enter change event channel, enter change event channel. Now let me go and deploy this. My component is created. Let's go to the org and add that component. So here I go and adding that component. Let me click on the edit page. I'm removing my existing component from here and adding that component that is nothing but the display refresh message. So let me go and drag and drop it. Here you can see I have added this component. Let me go here and click on save. If I go back now, right? Let's again, as of now, we are not putting anything on the UI. The reason being this property is still set to false. So you cannot expect any changes on the UI. What we are expecting here is our different console logs that we do have here. It should get printed and we should get the kind of a structure for the response as well. So that is what we have to test. And for that, I am keeping my log open here, navigating to the console and keep this cleared. Right now let's go and test this out. So for that, again, I am navigating to the Postman and changing the rating. Let's say this time I am changing this to cold and clicking on send. Again, my update operation is successful. If I go here, you can see that I am getting the message here. You can see that I am getting the message here. If you scroll down here, you can see data account change event that we do have here, and we are getting the complete payload structure here as well. Here also we do have the change event header, what all different fields has been changed. We can see the complete structure here. Right now what we have to do here is, as I said, whenever we are receiving this event, we have to inform the user that they should go and refresh the page. So how we can do that? Now pay close attention, because on the initially we don't have any message. So how you should go and code it and get it properly. So first thing that you have to check whether you are having any data or not. If you are having any data or not, and under the data if you do have any payload or not. And from the payload, you can definitely go and access the fields like the record ID. From payload, you can definitely go and access the field as the record ID. So we'll do this one by one. First, how we have to check whether we are having any data or not. How you can check that if you are having any data or not? For that, here you can use the response dot has own property. This is the method to check whether your object have this property or not. What property we are looking for? This data property. If we do have this data property, then we will look for the payload property in that data, right? So if we do have this property, then let me store that property into one of the object. Let me put here the JSON object is equal to, uh, here I go and put response dot data, right? So we do have the data. Now in this JSON object, we have to check if we do have the JSON object that has own property, and which property we are looking for, the payload property or not. If we do have the payload property or not. If the payload property is there, then we again take the next step. Now we have the complete payload. So let's go and store that payload into one of the property. So here I am putting the payload is equal to response dot data dot payload. Now in this payload, you do have the different types of information. For example, here you do have the change event header, you do have the change fields, you do have the change record IDs, you do have all this information available here. So what we are doing here is, here we are checking that definitely we are getting one message, but is the ID that we are getting here is the same ID that we are currently on, right? If both these IDs are matching, then and then only we have to go and enable the refresh. Again, I'm repeating, here we are getting the ID. Now we have to compare whether this ID or the record ID that we do have here, if both are same or not. In case the both are same, then and then only we go and display the message. Otherwise, we will not go and display the message. So for that, we have to access the ID of the page. So whenever we have to access the ID of the page, we always use @API record ID so that we can get the access of the ID. Now here, as I said, we have to check that, and this is nothing but an array, right? So we have to, in this array, we have to check whether our ID is present or not. For that, Definitely, there are different ways to do it. You can either go with the includes approach or you can also go with the find approach as well. We already discussed in detail about the different array methods. So what I am checking here is if the payload dot, let me check the path. So we do have the payload dot change event header. Under the change event header, I do have the record IDs, right? So change event header dot record IDs. And here I am using the find method, that is the current item. If the current item is same as this dot record ID, if the current item is same as this dot record ID, if both are same, right, then and then only we can say that the record is available. Otherwise, we cannot. This value is record found. This will be undefined, right? So what I am checking here is if is record found is not equal to undefined, then and then only we can say that the record is present in our record ID list. And once the record is present in the record ID list, the next thing that we will do here is we will go and enable the is display message flag value to true. So here I go and put this dot is display message value is equal to true. This dot is display message value is equal to true. Again, I'm repeating what I have done. First, I have printed the response. I'm getting the response. After that, I'm checking that I have checking whether I do have the data. Under the data, I do have the payload or not. Under the payload, I am checking that whether the record ID is matching with the record ID on the record that I am currently present. If both the all the criteria are matched, then and then only I should go and enable this flag as the display message. Right? Now, the next thing that we have to do here is, let's say the flag is enabled. And once the flag is enabled, if the user clicked on this icon, then we have to go and invoke this method to refresh the page. So here I go and define this method to refresh the page. Now, how we can go and refresh the page? If you folks recall, in our bootcamp, we covered this in very detail, right? To update the LDS, we do have one method that is nothing but the get record notify change. Get record notify change. You can also go and look for this method in the Salesforce documentation as well. I'm doing this because I cannot recall. Okay, there is another version that we do have for this get record notify change, and now this method is depreciated. So rather than you go and use this method, you should use this method, that is the notify record update available. Right? We discussed about this method in our session, how you can use this method to perform the update operation. And here what we can do, we can pass the array of object where the key will be the record ID and value can be anything. So let's go and use this. I believe here we might have one example for this, right? This is how you can use this notify record update available. Again, to use this notify record update available, we have to import this method first. So here I go and perform the import operation. Again, I don't need the get record, so I'm not using it. I'm directly using this method notify record update available. Again, I want to make this method asynchronous because after that I have to also go and hide it, hide the icon as well. So to make the method asynchronous, I'm making this async and using the await here. And here I am passing the record IDs. So let me go and do this. Do the exact same thing because I have to also pass the record ID to update the page. And once this has been done, the next thing that I have to do here is again I have to go and hide the component. So here I go and use the display message value to false. So as soon as user clicked on this page, we are updating the LDS, and after that we are hiding the component. So this is how you can use the Lightning Web component to subscribe to the change data capture event. Only folks that you have to only place where you have to implement your logic is this handle change event response. Apart from that, rest of the things that you can see here is common. You guys might have observed that I have copied most of the things from the documentation, and in this method only I have written my business logic. In this method only, I have written my business logic. I can see that there is one typo from me here that I have used the payload. Ideally, I should go and use the L small, that is the payload here. Apart from that, all the other things looks good. This payload is correct. Here, at the other places, I am referring this payload variable. That is not an issue. Let me go and deploy this, and we will validate the output. So my component is deployed here successfully. Let's go to the org. Again, we will do the same testing. We will initiate the update request from the Postman, and we will check whether the component is coming up on the UI or not. Here you can see that current value of the rating is cold. So let me go here and change the rating to hot, and again sending the request from the Postman. You can see that as soon as the request has been sent, the banner is coming up here, right? Although it is not showing the cold routing, and that is where the banner is coming up, and here it is giving an error message that your data is outdated. You have to go and refresh the data, right? Again, to refresh the data, user will click on this refresh icon, and here you can see that the rating value is updated to hot. I hope you guys got the understanding how you can use the change data capture in the LWC component. I do request folks try this out with this business case, or in case you guys do have any other business case. As I mentioned, most of the steps are common. Only thing that you have to work on as per your business requirement in the handle change event response method. You have to just modify this method according to your requirement, and your job will be done. Thank you, folks. I hope you found the today's session helpful. Kindly let me know in the comment section if you have any thoughts or if you do have any recommendations. Thank you. Have a good time.